Hey everybody, welcome in. Let's go over Guildra, and hopefully you can learn how to improve your Guildra times a little bit. Now I just made a big mistake. I'm recording on my new computer, and I just recorded for 35 minutes, and my microphone wasn't even set up correctly, so now I kind of have to redo it. But the good news for y'all is that this will be shorter and sweeter, because it's my second run through, and I'll just say what I need to say. Now that we have some ranking data from yesterday, I have 9 on ranked, and that's at least a start. Hopefully you have some similarities here. Burry is just very strong to pick at all. He covers back 3, 30% airborne. V-Hell covers all ally 30% airborne. And Lif, one major reason to bring Lif, even though she gets CC'd, is the gender amps. All female allies will get amps to the crystals, and all male allies will get amps to Aquarius herself. If you do want to run Lif, I recommend running her at 1000 G power. Your Lif is one of the few exceptions to the normal expertise builds, in which case I advise that you run 500 Spatak, 1000 G power on her. Now everybody else should have 1000 Spatak, so they deal 10% more damage. Be sure you come through and make sure your Spatak builds are all done. If Marks of Supremacy are an issue, then you should be able to make a team for TOT 18 or TOT 20 and get carried through it relatively easily. If not, go to channel 152 and ask for me. I'll help you. I did have a note on switching the sets while we're talking about expertise pages. Through my previous recording, I realized I had my Ike set up with his 1000 G power page on page 1, which we swapped it with the switch sets button, which is free, over to the first page. So now he does 5% more damage from moving up from 500 to 1000 Spatak. You only have to spend diamonds if you scrap a page. You can build 2 freely and swap between them and just have all 5 on the same page eventually. Okay, second note is high holy rings. You may not even need them if you're clearing it in 60 to 90 seconds. But if you're struggling and your people are dying to the field damage, then you should bring max holy rings. Be sure they're skill level 5 so you get the full resist. But if you run it and realize that none of your heroes are in threat of dying, then you can probably remove holy rings and just run an extra amp slot or skill gauge generation. Now all my slots have strong skill gauge generation for accessories, and that's really just what you want. If you're not shredding the enemy on an opener, you should be generating skill gauge for yourself or allies. It's the strongest thing you can do with accessories. On the equipment side, do also try to get those skill gauge and amps. Loser Hunting Club is really strong. It's unfortunate I only got 2 4-stars on the account, but when you're sorting ranking by gear, you can trust the red crowns generally, but just know that there's kind of a reason. You should know the reason that you're bringing the gear. Hopefully you've grabbed some dimensional swords from the Super Mana Trader. Now I know each 3-star of these is 600 million mana a pop, but over time you build them with reforged knives and you acquire many 5-stars. This is a really good gear that hits twice and gives master for the next equipment slot in your order. If it's not generating skill gauge for you, probably safe to change it. We're going to switch over to Spirit Darkness here. Another quick note, emblems. I'm pretty weak as far as a lot of high quality emblems is concerned, but use the best that you can. My Burry is my MVP, so I've given him my strongest dark emblem. As far as artifacts are concerned, you need to try to push airborne amp as much as possible. The Beasts and Aquarius are both airborne, so using airborne is much better since you won't be able to get a celestial targeting from augments. I spent like 20k rubies during the other session to get some of these up, so these were a little bit weaker before, but now might even roll. And I spent 25k rubies earlier, but this one's kind of close to a pity, so maybe I just push and see if I get lucky. And I did note, when you're rolling on your pity, always remove 1 off just in case you get it before, which we did not here, but in my other one I was getting it pretty often, but now we get the pity. So all that for 1% more airborne. At the end of the day, we call it worth it. Okay, so that's pretty much weapons, accessories, emblems, and artifacts. My Burry unfortunately can't get a pretty decent airborne one, so I gave him a Beast Dragon Chan bow. Violet Void Spear is very strong, triple hit. I have him opening up with it. World Boss Scythe, also very strong, gives skill gauge and airborne. I'm using Celestial Offerings on all my dark damage to just help boost that first opening. I've pushed Burry up to almost 40k attack, so he's not slacking. Other notables, if you have Dreaming Stars, bring them. Def Shred openers is gonna help crush the crystals very quickly. If you can bring 2, even better. I have my second 4-star on the CB Ike, so that way the back 3 get shredded to 50% at the very beginning. I'm also stacking Incorruptible Earrings because this opener altitude amp will stack with other constants. So that's just another 20% free damage for effectively the whole Guildra, since it's only 10 to 12 turns. Otherwise, I gave everybody as strong airborne artifacts as I could. I just got this one at 39%. I did try my PDL because she's ranked now, and I can see where it's kind of coming in. Maybe you should run her with 1000 G power, because I don't even think she got an action skill off when I did an example run, but it was a 51-second clear. If she gets that action skill off and gets that light element damage up, that's something that nobody else on my account could bring. And although she gets CC'd, she wasn't in threat of dying, but she would come back with 100% SAR on Fortify. but I didn't get to see it in my sample. PDL also covers all allies 30% female amp. which is actually a big deal because Lif does not give that to other females. So V-Hell's left stranded. V-Hell's left with no gender amp herself, unless I bring PDL. Well, at least hopefully you have a Savior Buri available. I've always preached that he's the strongest from the special challenge heroes from the daily login, and there's been a couple other banners to get him up for newer players as well. Chelsea, hopefully you have her. Just a very strong unit here that'll help you out. The Embolden will surely give you good damage boosts. All ally Dark Ring, amps, all enemy shreds, and dark resist down. Very strong addition to the team here. And if you're struggling on your ranking, then just drill down to the 4 proper races and the 2 action skill types that are prioritized here. Look through your page and see, hopefully you can have anybody join. Anybody here who is proper race and element should be an okay addition to the team if you need them. Come through and see what your list looks like, and hopefully you can build a team of 5. If you have to bring Lif, remember that you need the 1000 G power to help her not get CC'd so she can do her job. This group was about a 53-second clear, and I'm fine with that for my own purposes. Anything under a minute is fine with me. I usually try to push my guildies to be under 90 seconds. I think people are doing all right with this one, even though this one is a little bit more tricky. Fighting a Celestial has proven to be a little bit harder, so. Aquarius will Vortex and Holy Chain all off race, but at least Lif doesn't get included in the Vortex portion because she's not 3 highest to attack. She'll only get Holy Chained. Like I said, once you have the basics of your gear down, just go through and nitpick for more skill gauge, determine if you need high holy rings to survive, add more skill gauge or shred openers, dark damage amps, defense shred on opener, airborne amp to 3, and MDef shred on opener. Just stack shreds and amps all in your favor. That's how you'll beat it quicker. Alright, well it took me a lot less time to record it the second time since I kind of knew what I was trying to say, so hopefully that helps everybody and you can improve your Guildra times and support your guild and get the rewards. There's good rewards in Guildra, always trying to be pushing it. So thank you everyone for joining me today, and until next time, Foots out. Cheers.